Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of your Daily Guides, the series where I dive into in-depth guides and walkthroughs of games like Honkai Star Rail, Zenless, and Withering Waves. Today, we'll be covering Banyue, the latest Rupture carry whose damage scales off HP and sheer force. So in this video, I'm going to break down exactly how to build Banyue properly, from stats and drive disks to W engines, teams, and how to actually play him. So by the end of this guide, you'll know whether Banyue is worth investing in and how to make him hit as hard as possible. Before we dive in, quick shout out to Loot Bar, a platform where you can buy in-game currency and items for games like Zenless Zone Zero and more, often at lower prices and with fast delivery. Just be sure to double-check everything before you buy and use only your UID. You never need to share your account password for any purchase. Links are down below if you want to check them out. Banyue is a Fire Rupture DPS, meaning his entire purpose is to deal massive damage during stun windows rather than constantly poking enemies over time. He's not a quick swap character, and he's not meant to play like a traditional attack-scaling DPS. Instead, Banyue revolves around building up his unique resource, Wrathful Fires, which allows him to enter a powered-up state called Visage of Wrath. When Banyue enters this state, his damage spikes dramatically. His EX special attacks become the core of his kit, and this is where the majority of his DPS actually comes from. The key thing to understand is that Banyue's damage doesn't scale primarily off attack. It scales off max HP, which is then converted into sheer force, directly amplifying his fire damage. In practice, this means Banyue wants to stay on the field long enough to build his resources, wait for enemies to be stunned, and then unload everything during that window. If you try to play him like a quick burst DPS or ignore his HP scaling, he's going to feel underwhelming. But when built and played correctly, he becomes an extremely explosive Rupture carry. Now let's talk about how you actually play Banyue in combat, because this is where most people are choosing whether or not to pull him. Banyue's entire loop revolves around generating wrathful fires through his normal attacks and skills while he's on the field. Your goal is to build up his resources steadily, dodge, parry, and wait for your team to set up a stun window. Once enemies are stunned, that's when Banyue really comes alive. You want to enter his empowered state and focus heavily on two aspects: holding his EX special attack to automatically combo, or holding his basic to unleash his combo finisher for one big burst of damage. His EX specials hit significantly harder during these windows, and this is the most important thing to understand. Banyue is not a quick swap, press a button and leave type of DPS. He needs time on the field to build Wrathful Fires, convert his HP into sheer force, and fully capitalize on stun duration. If you keep swapping him out too early, you're cutting his damage short before it ever peaks. Don't treat him like a burst DPS you rotate in and out. Banyue lives on the field until the stun ends, and that's exactly how you get the most out of his kit. I've also put Banyue's different combo routes up on the screen so you can pause and check them out yourself. They're honestly not hard at all. It's mostly about choosing which one feels best to you. And once you actually start playing him, the combos flow naturally, even when you're doing them manually. For builds, you want to focus on Yunqi Tails. This is your 4-piece set. It gives Banyue bonus HP, and every time he uses an EX special, chain attack, or ultimate, it gives him stackable crit rate and, at full stacks, a straight sheer damage increase. Once you have that 4-piece core, the last 2 slots are all about balancing crit and damage. If your crit rate is a little inconsistent, Woodpecker Electro is the go-to because it boosts crit rate. If you already have solid crit and want to maximize peak damage, Branch and Blade Song adds crit damage instead. And if you're absolutely desperate for fire damage while you improve your crit stats, Inferno Metal can be a fallback option. For the individual disc main stats, focus on crit and damage-oriented rolls. On slot 4, you want crit rate or crit damage as the main stat, depending on what you need to hit your crit benchmarks. Slot 5 is great for fire damage bonus, which just adds more elemental punch to his burst. And slot 6 should almost always be HP percent to feed into his sheer force scaling. So, in short, Yunqi Tails as your 4-piece set, crit rate or crit damage-oriented 2-piece backup, and focus on crit, then fire damage, then HP across the best slots. For teams, my go-to recommendation is pairing Banyue with Lucia and Dialin as your main support core. Lucia is huge for him because she directly boosts HP and sheer force, while Dialin gives you reliable stun windows and strong offensive buffs that let Banyue unload during his peak damage phase. Alternatively, if you have her, you can run Astra Yao as your support with Jufu Fu as the stun unit. Astra Yao provides consistent buffs that keep Banyue stable on field, and Jufu Fu sets up clean, long stun windows, which is exactly what Banyue wants to maximize his combos and EX specials. And if you're missing premium units or you're still early into the game, you're not locked out of good teams at all. A-rank Anbi and Nicole are actually his best accessible options. Anbi gives you dependable stun uptime, and Nicole provides defense shred and grouping, which makes it much easier for Banyue to hit everything during his damage windows. These teams are simple, reliable, and more than enough to let Banyue perform well while you build your roster. But what do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this breakdown and found it helpful, make sure to subscribe for more. Thanks for watching, take care, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.